Forex Fortune Hunters, Tom Wilmot. Let's take a look at how Brexit is developing. It is a chart of the 11th of March, Monday, 2019. We're going to be using our Trend Magic and Chandelier Stop Double Whammy template to test the market and see when you can enter and how you can make those pips. Okay, so let's take a look at this Brexit situation, or un-Brexit, or Brexit is bananas. The weekend of March, 9th and 10th, was consumed by Theresa May rushing back to Europe to try to talk to the EU to find out if they could strengthen the deal and get rid of the backstop between Northern Ireland and Ireland. But basically, at the end of the weekend, which you can see right here, this is the Sunday night, there was news that perhaps she'd been able to upgrade the agreement and was going to take it back to Parliament for another vote on Tuesday, and that's when we're recording this video. And in fact, Parliament voted it down again, but that's not what we knew on Monday morning. Bottom line is, we had our Sunday night, and we moved into the London session on Monday, or that would be 3 o'clock Boston time. And we had a little bit of a pop, and then we had our double red lines again. And I'm using a 15-minute chart, and that's what I'd recommend for you to begin with. And then as we moved into the U.S. session, which I hold at 7 a.m., and then the U.S. stock market session, 9:30 a.m. East Coast time, that's when we began to get our really big pop to the north, as there was hope that perhaps there would be a deal on Brexit based upon May's further negotiations. Now, first of all, it was daylight savings over the weekend too, so I actually had to move my lines back an hour. What was 3 a.m. is 2 a.m. is now 1 a.m. and so forth. There was some kind of a weird time delay between London and Boston based upon daylight savings time or the server. But in any event, I made those adjustments, so I think we're correct now here. And you can see the second thing that you want to be careful of when you're taking a look at when to enter or when is there a trend developing that you can really trust and not just some further consolidation or chop. I would say two things really affect that. Number one, your time frame, and I think 15-minute chart is about the lowest you can use. So I would suggest putting a 15-minute chart on when you're not watching specifically and let that run, because those kinds of moves would be a little bit more significant than, say, 1 or 5-minute charts. You could also move to a 30-minute if you were more conservative and really wanted to see if there was a trend reversal in process. Second of all, I mentioned in the other video that I did on session times recently that you want to wait until there's new money on the table. And in fact, we saw right over here in the Asian session after the weekend, there was some movement in pips on this pound yen chart, but bottom line is you really didn't get the new money pushing the market until you moved into the U.S. session on Monday morning. So in any event, those are the two things. And if you remember also, it's possible that you can send a text to your phone when the chandelier changes. And so in the chandelier that I provide for people, if they send me an email, there is a way to get an indication alert that can be put into your phone through the tools box up here, through options, and you can go here to email. Let's see what we got going on here. Email, right here's the tab, and it will get you into the situation where you enter your information, your phone number, your text, or your email, and you can get an alert sent to you automatically, either while you're sleeping or having supper. So that's very helpful, and that's how I like to try to do it. And you can use it on that longer time frame, so you're not driving yourself to distraction with 15 alerts every minute. You can obviously also use multiple pairs. So in any event, here we are in the U.S. session. We're waking up 7 a.m., got a second cup of coffee or tea. And so now we see we have our double white line. The chandelier is below us. We have a nice move to the north, and these pips were significant ones, actually, folks. Picking it off down here where we've got the least amount of risk, probably 32 pips, which is a lot, but still, compared to 197 pips to the north, that's a significant move on the pound yen, and you can clearly reduce your position size in order to take advantage of that without having overly blown your risk. Also, we held out here in the midst of the U.S. session before we had another push to the top. Now, it's also clear that as soon as we figured out on Tuesday, which we've seen that the votes probably weren't there, the Attorney General in England suggested that there was no real legal change in the terminology from the weekend negotiations, and therefore we cratered, and then we came back and we moved around. The Parliament vote just occurred in this area, and there are going to be additional deliberations over the next 24 to 48 hours, and potentially even a new referendum. So the thing is still kind of up in the air, and I'd be very careful about this kind of a mix here, because you can see it's just chop, and you want to try to stay out. You don't have a clear perspective on what's happening. Now, you could also, once your chart suggests here, you can also draw a line if you want to reduce your risk. Here's your double white line. Let's put our yellow in here right at this the New York session 5-minute chart. Let's click down to that. We'll come over, and here we are here, and you can see we pull down to the chandelier on the 5-minute chart, but we don't have nearly as much risk. I like to wait until we pop back up, and then we're in a situation where we are right here, and you can see even down below this area, 28 pips is a lot, but if you're right here, you can see this is the area you want to be driving your entries in. So if you get to this late, you can still drop down in terms of time frames and begin to pick up on this move. Let's see just quickly, because also the AUD has had a nice move over the last few days. For whatever reason, negotiations with China, improving economic conditions, whatever. I'm going to go to my double whammy basic, which is right here. And bottom line, we have the same kinds of things here. We have a 5-minute. Let's go to the 15-minute chart. Notice what happened back here. This is all way back in December, so that's no good to us right now. But right here we have our 15-minute lines. We do pull back. But we have some times here when we can see that over the course of the last week or two, the AUD has also been very helpful in terms of pip count, and also not quite as volatile, so therefore your risk reward is a little lower, but for those of you who are starting, the AUD can be very helpful. Let's drop down to a 5-minute chart. Let's pull over and notice what happened here. We have this nice move and pull back to the bands, took out the chandelier, so we know we're coming down a little bit and so forth. But notice as we move forward, our 15-minute chart does help us to give some pip count and to let us know what's happening. The same thing also true of the New Zealand dollar over that same period of time. Let's see what we got going on here. Let's find New Zealand US right here. We'll click on this, right click, drag it to the chart, and we can see that although we have to repaint our template, we'll be in business in 1 second. Let's see what we got going on. This is our double whammy, and let's see what we got right here. And we get rid of this one, and now we've got our 15-minute, and notice that big move up back here in February. Okay, now we've got the same thing going on here. So once again, new money into the machine. We can take a look watching this line at our 5-minute chart. And you can see here we've got some nice moves to the north when we pull back into our trend magic protectorate. Okay, that's it for now. Let's be careful. Watch out for the chaos in Brexit over the next 2 or 3 days. Kind of use your longer term 15 and 30-minute indicators and chart time frames to help you figure out when the trend is real and moving versus when you're going to end up in that chop. Be sure to sign up at ForexFortuneHunter.com for further alerts, and please subscribe to our videos so that we can give you the most updated information we have. Thanks for watching.